what breaks a fast, and some things you might want to consider if you are intermittent fasting, considering intermittent fasting, or are participating in fasting as a lifestyle in any way. Welcome to today's video. My name is Diane Parham. I am a fasting mindset coach, which means I help you incorporate a fasting lifestyle into what it is that you say that you really want for yourself so you can look and feel your best and live your most authentic life as a woman who is transitioning through what we like to call the aging process or the menopausal journey. So today we are going to talk about what breaks a fast. And because we talk about these things from the mindset approach, I really want you to think about some of the things I'm going to consider today as an option for you. And I also want you to think about where you are in your life and what it is that you are saying that you really want for yourself. And I think when you answer these questions for yourself very honestly, figuring out intermittent fasting and how it can benefit you as a lifestyle for your future self as well as your present self will really be a fun journey for you. And that is really all we want for ourselves, is being able to have a healthy lifestyle and do it in a fun, non-pressure way. So the first question I always like to ask women that I'm coaching or in our community, and even the question that I asked myself when I started intermittent fasting, is, what do I need to consider for myself? And so I'm going to ask you, what do you need to consider for you? Where are you right now with yourself, with your physique, with your health? Where are you on your menopausal journey? What kind of things are you frustrated with? What kind of things would you like to reverse? And what are you willing to do to make that happen? I went into the doctor's one day just for my annual physical, did a blood draw, kind of told her all the things that I was unhappy with. A week later, she calls me to let me know that I was on my way to become a full-blown diabetic. At the time, I was a pre-diabetic with very high A1C levels. I was in complete shock because I have been a health and wellness coach with the emphasis on nutrition for most of my adult life. How could this happen to me? I knew better. I was doing all of the things. But then when I took a little step back and realized, oh my gosh, I've been so uncomfortable in my own skin. I've been really unhappy with the way I'm feeling. What the heck is going on with me? And put all the pieces together, I realized the reason I was a pre-diabetic in my very early 50s, despite knowing all that I know about nutrition and exercise, was simply because my hormones changed. I made a very quick and firm decision that I was going to seek out something that I could use as a lifestyle approach to change my current situation for a better situation for my future self. And I was going to do the thing that I found as if my life depended on it. For me, that just happened to be intermittent fasting. So when I started my intermittent fasting journey in my early 50s as someone who had just entered in the post-menopausal season, I kind of eased my way through the perimenopausal season and just kind of woke up in post-menopause. I do believe that that was because of the healthy lifestyle that I was living with nutrition and fitness. I just couldn't help any longer all the changes that were going on with my hormones, with what I was currently doing that worked for me in my past, right? So all the things I did that worked for me in my 20s, 30s, and 40s just really stopped working for me. So when I stumbled upon intermittent fasting, I was like, this makes sense. But what I didn't put into place, and this is what we're going to talk about a little bit more as we go along in this video, was I was taking a lot of advice from the wrong people and found myself in certain circumstances feeling worse than I did before I even started. So this goes back to the question, what should you consider for you? So as someone who was diagnosed as a pre-diabetic, who didn't want to become a diabetic, making the decision I'm going to fast as if my life depends on it, I treated everything as if it was going to break my fast. I was in search of the most deep cellular healing that I could find. I wanted to make sure that I was able to reverse my diabetic condition. I knew the best way to do that was through intermittent fasting because of the ability that it has to balance out my hunger hormones and really reset what was going on with insulin, which was the hormone for me that was most out of whack as a postmenopausal woman. And so I did just that. I treated intermittent fasting as a lifestyle approach that was going to reverse all the things that I was unhappy with. And I did not play around with my fasting window. I just basically decided that if it wasn't water or black coffee, that was my drink of choice. Tea, if you're a tea person, nothing in it. I'm going as clean as I possibly can for 20 hours a day. I committed to that for 1 whole year because I was really serious about reversing the current situation that I was in. It worked beautifully for me after a year of fasting squeaky clean for 20 hours a day, very few exceptions. The only exception I made was to fast longer. It worked beautifully for me for the goal that I had at that time. But then my goals changed because I now was no longer battling any kind of health conditions. I was squeaky clean on my blood work. I was a totally healed woman despite the fact that I was in post-menopause. And so it did all of the things that I needed it to do for me, like I said, at the time. But then I realized that I didn't need to fast any longer as if my life depended on it. And I really wanted to settle into a lifestyle that I absolutely loved and that made absolute sense for my own brain and what I knew about living in my body for 50 plus years. So that's when I decided that a clean fast for me wasn't the highest priority that I needed to seek with my intermittent fasting lifestyle. And so once I reversed the pre-diabetic condition and I really settled into this just being my lifestyle, I really focused on the food part of it. And I focused on the feasting window and I allowed some testing to go on in my fasting window, meaning I wasn't squeaky clean all the time. I did some experimenting with putting some things in my coffee. Again, not really worrying about the fact that it was a clean fast or not. And I listened again to some of the advice that was given on the internet and I experimented with stevia in my coffee. What I found when I did that for myself was that caused my hunger hormones to go out of balance again, and it made me crave sweets throughout the day. So that was an easy one for me to fix. It's like, no, if I'm gonna have coffee, it's just going to be black coffee because I don't want that lingering signal going on in my brain of we had some sweets, we like the sweets, we need more sweets. And so for me, clean black coffee is a really easy way. In my fasting window, I practice that today. I have no longer have any need for stevia in anything that I'm putting in my fasting window. Once I figured out the food part of things for me, and when I say food part, I mean foods that I had identified as me being intolerant to, meaning they bloated me, they made me stay up at night, not being able to sleep. I just overall didn't feel good, zapped me of my energy, caused, things in my face to not be the way I wanted them to be. Like when I identified those items, it was really easy for me to just put those on the shelf and say, I'm either gonna limit these or not have any of these at all. Everything else that didn't cause me any kind of problems, I fit into my feasting window. It doesn't matter what any experts have to say. If it works for me, I just designate that as working for me, and I wanna make sure that you have that permission to do that as well. Don't worry about the food police. If you have a food that you absolutely love and it's not keeping you from what it is you say you want for yourself, that's just the food that you love. We don't need to do any further research. But what I want you to test, if you've been fasting for a long time and you feel like you're not quite sure if you need to be super strict about it anymore, or if you can loosen the reins a little bit and just kind of go with the flow, is test some things out in your fasting window. What breaks a fast for someone else might not be a problem for you based on where it is you are on your journey. So if you want to get the deepest cleansing, healing, reset fast, yes, 100%, you should keep that fast clean. But if you've noticed that you just really like having the opportunity to not have food around you all the time, or you've realized that your body just functions better on less, or having food in just a window of part of your day and the other part of your day you just don't have food, but maybe you like to have some things in your morning routine, like maybe it is some heavy cream in your coffee, or maybe you are a person that can tolerate something like a stevia in your coffee. Test it out for you and see how that makes you feel. You may not be in a position any longer where you have to be that strict in your fasting window. But you are going to have to be really honest with yourself about how that affects you in the long term. So for me, stevia in my coffee is just no way, Jose, because it does cause my body to crave sweets later in the day. And I just don't really like having that lingering sort of mental thought in my brain. And I don't like to feel like I need to have those sweets when if I don't have stevia, those feelings aren't there. So do those tests for yourself. This is where I say having a clean fast or putting something in your window and being super worried about if it breaks your fast might not be as important to you today as it was when you first started. Just make sure you're not creating problems for yourself that you don't want to have to deal with down the road. The other thing that I want to talk about with what breaks a fast is what are your overall goals? So I'm in a season right now where fitness is my highest priority. If we want to talk about the 3 levers that we need to be concerned with in regards to aging successfully, we know the fasting lever is definitely one of those things that helps us reverse a lot of the signs of aging we're not happy with. We know the feasting lever is really important because the truth is we just have some foods that are available to us, either whether it's the food itself or ingredients within that food that just don't work with our individual body systems, and everybody's body system is different. It does take some time, and it is really important for you to figure out what those things are for you. And then the third lever is our fitness lever, because again, we don't want to live a life where we are incapable of physically showing up, and we want to use fitness as a component to keep us healthy and strong and active. And so the fitness lever is the one that I'm really concentrating on this year, because the fasting and the feasting part of it is just who I am. It's part of my personality. I don't have any stresses about those 2 levers for me. So with saying that fitness is now the lever that I have, and in case this might be a lever that you're working on in this season, is that I take a pre-workout in my fasting window. It's a pre-workout that I've been using for years. I absolutely love it. It has a bunch of different ingredients in it that does support my body and gives back to my body from what I'm asking of it in my workout. So it is enhancing everything that I'm doing with my fasting long, feasting well, and training smart. I have no thoughts or worries about what it does in my fasting window because I've also tested my specific pre-workout to make sure that I'm getting what it is I say that I want with this lifestyle that I've created for myself. I can control and regulate my own blood glucose. I can get my body into a state of ketosis, meaning my body's utilizing fat and producing ketones by the end of a fast. I can do all the things that I want to do, but also give my body the tools and the resources that it needs to stay healthy and fit with the fitness goals that I have as a 57, almost 58-year-old postmenopausal woman. Consider that also, if you're so stressed out about breaking your fast and you want to take advantage of being in this window of not needing food for a period of time and you don't want to interrupt that, but you also want to be able to get some fitness gains, look into some tools that you can incorporate into your fasting window to support what it is that you want from that third lever, the training smart lever. And then the ultimate big picture goal is, what is it that we say that we really want for our future self? Do we want to spend the next 20 years obsessing about whether we're breaking our fast or not? Do we want to be obsessing about what foods we should and shouldn't be eating? Do we want to be obsessing about what we weigh when we step on a scale? Or do we want to be able to say every day that we're waking up, looking and feeling our best and living our most authentic life? I want to wake up every day looking and feeling my best and living my most authentic life. And the most authentic life part of it, if you really get honest about that for you and what you want to have for yourself and how you want to show up for yourself, then the looking and feeling your best part just happens on its own. And that might mean that you might have to put some things back into that window that you once called your fasting window. I'm not one of those people that is super hard and fast and super stringent on terms that we're using here in this community. I still say that I fast every single day for 20 hours, even though I'm putting a pre-workout in my fasting window, because I just love working out without needing to eat anything. But I also want to make sure that I'm giving my body the best opportunity to have everything that it needs to support itself when I'm in my fitness era. And that really is how you create a lifestyle for yourself that you are going to be willing to stick to. I just want to give you some permission, if I may, to classify how it is you're living your life by whatever definition and whatever terminology that you want to live by. Once you figure out how your body responds for you and shows up for you in that clean fasting window, and you have seen and felt the power and the healing that can happen when you're in a clean fasted state, and you've had that opportunity to heal maybe some of those food thoughts that you have and some of those food feelings that you've had about what you did in your previous seasons of life, and you feel so much more confident and comfortable around food decisions and how you show up when food is present, then I say you have the opportunity to play around with some new things. If clean fasting every single day is your jam, you stick to your jam. But if you are at a place where you're like, I wonder if I'm going to have to clean fast forever, or can I add some things in and just test them out and see how they work for me, I say you're in a great season for testing. Just make sure if you don't like the result that you get at the end of that test, that you revert back to that clean fasting, give your body an opportunity to reset itself, and then maybe implement a new test in your fasting window. We always want to make sure that we are very clear about the fact that the fast is always where the magic happens. It is always where the best changes are going to take place, and it's always going to be that place where we get to clear out some of those negative thoughts we have and really restructure and redesign what it is that we say that we want for ourselves. Now, inside the Intermittent Fasting for Today's Aging Woman course, I present you with the opportunity to clean fast for 20 hours for a full 21 days. Why is that? Because I want you to have an opportunity to see and feel the magic and the power and the comfort and strength that you're going to get from fasting for 20 hours clean. Most of the time, women come into class thinking they can't do that. And then they leave class knowing that they can because they got to experience it in real time. If you are a graduate of class and you did in fact fast for those 21 days clean and you absolutely loved it and you have that experience to draw from, now might be a time to test some things out. Go on vacation, don't fast at all. See how that worked for you. See if you can jump back in. We do not want to become those women that are so rigid and so stuck on one thing that we don't have the opportunity to be flexible and open to living our most authentic life and really enjoying all the things that life has to offer. And that's really what I want to be able to provide for you here in this community and to give you the permission to try to do for yourself. So, what breaks a fast? It all depends on where you're starting. What is the journey that you want to go on? Where is your body hormonally today when you're seeking out information? If you have very specific things going on with you that you think fasting will take care of, I always recommend going into fasting with the mindset of, I'm doing this as if my life depended on it, and give your body and your life the benefit of the doubt. Once you are healed, once you're comfortable and confident about food choices, maybe once you're healed emotionally with some of the food thoughts that you used to have, and you're in a place where you can afford to test some things out, it is always worth the experiment to give something a test and know that you always have that clean fast that you can bounce back to. If you're feeling like you don't know what to do next, if you're feeling like clean fasting is just too strict for you, give yourself a little bit of time, give yourself a little bit of flexibility, and definitely give yourself some grace to make some mistakes. It's okay. We always have that clean fast to go back to, and then you will learn a very valuable lesson, because there are a lot of people out there saying a lot of different things, and the only thing that should matter to you is what your body is saying to you, and that means you might have to run that test. There is a time and a place to clean fast. It is also totally okay if you are just settling into a lifestyle that you love and it doesn't always follow everyone else's rules. You have to find your own happy and healthy. If today's video resonated with you and you are finding some relief that you can in fact do things your own way and still get amazing results, then I'd love to welcome you into our community. Please feel free to hit that subscribe button. Please make sure that you hit that like button, and then let me know in the comments below that you stopped by today. We love growing our community of like-minded women, and our ultimate goal is really to just live a very happy and healthy life, and being able to do that by our own rules. It doesn't always need to be a clean fast, and sometimes breaking your fast is going to be okay as long as it's getting you the results that you say that you want. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you in the next video.